What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Mark Roden, and today we are going over 11, technically, it's a top 10, but there's an honorable mention, so technically 11 Chevys, or Chevrolets, whatever you want to call them, that you can buy for less than, pretty much all of them are 5K. There is one or two, actually, that aren't under 5K, and they're under 10K, but we will discuss that when we get to them. Every other one is under 5K, though, so I'm going to name it still, like, dirt cheap cars, so I don't, like, false inform you guys, but most of them are under 5K. But anyway, guys, if you want to support the channel any more than you already are, head on over to www.smoothstance.com/shop to pick yourself up a hat, shirt, shorts. And with all that out of the way, let's get right into the video. All right, so coming in at the number 10 spot is going to be the first generation Chevrolet Cruze. Yes, there's multiple generations of this thing, and it kind of blew me away too. But don't worry, this is the only sort of daily driver boring car on this list that you're going to see, so don't get like too scared just yet. That's the only one. They only came with a 1.8 liter inline-4 making 138 horsepower, and it was front wheel drive. And these cars are in no means fast at all, and you can't really make them fast either. Like, you can't really tune them to be super quick, but what they are good at is just being a daily driver, man. They're good on gas, they look boring as hell, and for some reason drug dealers love buying these cars, so it's just a win-win across the board. Some people say that these cars are unreliable. I disagree. I've had two friends now that have owned a Chevy Cruze, and both of their Chevy Cruze lasted to like 180,000 miles perfectly fine, no issues. So I would, if you're looking for a reliable daily from Chevy, here you go. Number 9 is going to be the Chevy S10 pick-em-up truck. The pick-em-up truck from Chevrolet. They just do everything that you need a truck to do, but in a much smaller body, and there's literally nothing wrong with that. Many trucks around the world deserve a lot more love. All the big truck guys are like, I need a diesel. They never talk about the freaking tiny little boys over here, the Chevy S10s, the Tacomas, and the Ford Rangers. They're good cars, man. They came with a 4.3 liter V6, making a nice 190 horsepower, and they were actually rear-wheel drive until you put them into four-wheel drive, of course. And so if you keep them in their rear-wheel drive mode forever, then you can have a very cheap little drift truck, buddy. It's kind of a win-win situation there, if you ask me. You got yourself a vehicle that can go off-road when you go home, but then if you go to the track, you're sliding it around the corners. That's great. The only problem with these S10s is they, once again, don't have good potential for power unless you swap the motor, so don't expect to be making some super crazy drag truck, but you could if you swap it with an LS, just saying. Number 8, though, is going to the car that needs more love desperately, but it's not going to get the love because they kind of suck, to be honest, and it is the Corvette C3. The C3 Corvette is obviously like Chevy's trademark, and these things depreciate so damn fast that you can get them for so dirt cheap. Every Corvette out there is just depreciates quick as hell, so if you want a Corvette, just wait like 2 years and you'll be able to buy it for $2. The one you'll be able to get, though, for under 5K is going to most likely be the 5.7 liter small block V8 that only manages to make 200 horsepower going to the rear wheels. But they did make some of these with much more power, but those ones are going to be more expensive in their later years, or earlier years, my bad, like the early 60s, or I mean late 60s, early 70s. By the way, though, you got yourself a Chevy classic muscle car that looks like you're going through a freaking divorce. It's a great car, man. Number 7, however, is going to the third generation Chevrolet Camaro Z28. Easily the cheapest Camaro model that you can find right now because no one wants them. Besides maybe the ugly ass like catfish Camaro, but we're going to talk about that bad boy in a minute. But yeah, besides maybe the 4th gen Camaro, this is definitely the cheapest one you can buy. These things came with a 5 liter V8 making only 145 horsepower going to the rear wheels, which is why this car is so cheap. They are very slow. They were built during the gas crisis, but Chevy still wanted to slap a meaty old V8 into it. So they did, but in return, they made the V8 perform like an inline-4. Doesn't really make much sense, Chevrolet. And now it drinks gas, you know, so it's like it performs like an inline-4. It's as fast as an inline-4, but it drinks more gas than an inline-4. It just wasn't a good combination. But hey, if you want a 3rd gen Camaro, I guess that's good news for you because these things are dirt cheap because of it. Number 6 is going to be one of Chevy's failed attempts at making something appealing to the youth, the Chevy Cobalt SS, son, or the R33 GTR, but in America. This happens a lot, by the way, with the American car manufacturers. Think about the damn neon. They always tend to make these cars. They're like, oh, we're gonna make a tuner car. Yeah, we're gonna make a tuner car for all the kids to like. All the kids like the tuner cars nowadays. Let's make one. And then it flops. They always look horrible. They're just not good cars. Anyways, though, this monster came with a very quick, actually, 2 liter turbocharged inline-4, making a whopping 260 horsepower going to the front wheels. And nowadays, sure, that ain't great, but back in the early 2000s, for a commuter car to make that much horsepower is something that you would tell freaking Gordon Ramsay about. That's impressive. They do look decent when done right, but don't expect to be like a showstopper in this thing. They're definitely not like a good looking car in terms of like my opinion, but you can make them look pretty good. Number 5, yes, we're halfway done. It is going to another truck for this list, baby. The Chevy C10, one of my favorite old trucks ever. I'm not a big truck guy, but you know, I dip my toes in the water and wait for the little fishies to nibble on them from time to time. And this truck is pretty freaking cool to me. From a guy that doesn't really know too much about the truck world, the Chevy C10 is pretty cool. It came with all kinds of different engines, but the most common is the 5-liter V8, making only 160 horsepower. And the truck was rear-wheel drive before being popped into 4x4, obviously. And once again, yes, the engine is underpowered, but trucks aren't meant to go insanely quick anyways. And if you aren't just like a mad lad who wants to go lightning speed in a freaking truck, then it's a Chevy motor. Like, just build it up. If you really want it that bad, build it up. But I personally would just lift it and take it off road and have fun with it and make it look nice and just have a cool, old, timeless piece of machine. Like, that's cooler to me. Number 4, however, is going to the wonderful Chevy Corvette C4. No, I did not plan the C4 to line up with number 4. Okay, stop it. I personally think that this is one of the most underrated models Chevy has made so far. Like, yes, it doesn't look very good, and yes, it's kind of underpowered, but they are sick. They are so cool. It doesn't make sense to me why they aren't loved anymore. They come with a 5.7 liter V8, making around 240 horsepower depending on the year that you get, and they were rear wheel drive, and that is really not that bad horsepower for a lightweight car that was made in the damn 90s that you know damn well you can get more power out of. They also don't look good stock, sure, but once you start to modify them, I've seen a lot of clean ones out there, to be honest. Like if you lower a C4 Corvette, put it on some nice wheels, you can make it look pretty good. Also, they got pop-up headlights, so hello, that sells the car right there. Third place for this wonderful list is going to the Chevy Silverado 1500 Cateye. Also, the one right before the Cateye. I forget what it's called though, but my dad has one, and they are lovely little trucks. To be honest, they come. What are the freaking headlights? They're the ones, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about if you're a truck guy. The Cateye is like the facelifted version of this truck. That's the other one I'm talking about. I don't know what it's called though, but they came with a 5.3 liter V8 making 285 horsepower, and it was a 4x4, of course, because this is a truck. And yes, this truck is not a diesel full-size truck that has freaking 15 pounds of beer in it, but buddy, unless you're trying to tow Mount Vesuvius or like Thor's hammer, a gas truck is going to do just fine. I promise. Everybody underestimates gas trucks as like, oh, I need a diesel because I'm going to be towing my lawnmower around. Dude, you could tow the lawnmower around in my freaking PT Cruiser. You'll be all right with a gas truck. So also the amount of money that you're going to save is ridiculous. I found some of these old 1500 Silverados for right around like $2,000, only like 120,000 miles. That's a good deal. Second place for the best Chevys under $10,000, however, is going to be the Chevy Camaro SS 4th generation. This is the catfish Camaro that we talked about earlier, and here she sits in the podium, baby. They really are just an amazing platform right about now. They came with a 5.7 liter V8 making 310 horsepower, and it was rear wheel drive as well. And the really good part about them is that they came with a damn LS motor, my friend. LS engines are like God's gift to car guys, and usually when people's motors blow up in their cars, they just go to the junkyard with $500 and they walk away with an LS and 300 horsepower. But if you get the catfish Camaro, it already has the LS, so you don't gotta make a trip to the freaking junkyard, although you probably will be making a lot of trips there, but you don't have to, which is why you see these like 4th gen Camaros gapping cars all the time in like all those street racing videos. That's why they're always gapping cars, is because they're so cheap and they come with an LS right off the bat. It's great. Honorable mention for today though, and it is another Camaro yet again, but this time a bit more boring in my opinion. It is the Camaro RS 5th generation, which I know someone's going to leave a comment roasting me for, but it is a good car. Let me explain why. They do come with a 3.6 liter V6 making 304 horsepower, and it was rear wheel drive. And yes, I know it's not a true muscle car, but it's a good sports car. Okay, like everybody thinks that all these Camaros, they have to be a muscle car. No, it's not a muscle car, but it's a sports car and it's still pretty good. For example, my 350Z has a 3.5 liter V6 and makes the same power as that Camaro. So if you call a 350Z a sports car, then the V6 Camaro is one as well. But also, I just want to mention real quick that this is one of the 2 cars that you're not going to be able to find for under 5K. Just want to put that out there. But first place goes to none other than, you guessed it, the late, the great, the smate, that's not a word, Chevy Corvette C5. It is just a no-brainer in today's world that the C5 market, or C5 car, my bad, is arguably the best option for any sports car in general, not just Chevys, and it really just shows. I will fight this until the day I die. it is a bargain deal right now. They come with a 5.7 liter V8 making 350 horsepower, and it was rear wheel drive. And of course that engine is an LS engine as well. And everything about the car is just great. They look good. They are very cheap to build, not very cheap to buy though, but cheap to build. They're very reliable. They have pop-up headlights. They're rear wheel drive. They have great aerodynamics. They're pretty lightweight, not super lightweight, but they're pretty lightweight. And you get to look like you're going through like a midlife crisis all at once. I will say though, it is going to be hard to find under 10K. This is the second one. This is the second car that's not going to be able to be found under $5,000. But it can be done. You just got to be very, very patient and check like every day for the C5 market to try and find, you know, one under $10,000. But once you do, it is so worth the money. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one. Also, guys, I just want to really quickly update you guys. I went and looked at another car on Saturday. It was horrible, even worse than the last one. So we didn't get that one either. But we are still looking. I'm still going to keep asking you guys questions in the polls to try and figure out what you guys would like to see. But right now, to help you guys out, it's looking like I'm either going to find a Acura RSX, a Honda Prelude, or a Lexus, either an IS300 or SC300 or SC400. One of those four cars, though, is what I'm looking at getting. Because the whole thing is I want to make it good for YouTube content, but I also want to be happy while driving it. And when I went to go drive this car on Saturday, I'll spoil it for you. It was a 99 Civic, so it was an EK Civic Coupe. I didn't see myself driving it. I didn't really like driving it myself. So I was like, I do like Hondas, but I don't really like driving this one. So what about an Acura RSX? And so I made a poll asking you guys if you like that, and you guys loved it. So I was like, okay, good news. You guys like the RSX. Maybe the RSX is the next car to come to the channel. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Das Vidania. Have a nice night.